everyone, Kurt here with the Traveling Larsons, and I'm going to go ahead and install one of these LED spotlights in my canopy. So I bought a pair of them off of Amazon. I think they were about $13. I just want to go over some of the things that we'll need to install them. Here are some wire connectors, more commonly known as wire nuts, a pair of wire strippers, a crescent wrench, a utility knife. These are number 10 by 3/4 self-drilling screws, and then my drill with a bit on it for the self-drilling screws. Some of the pieces included, now this is the hardware for one kit. This is the mounting bracket. These pieces right here, this bolt, lock washer, and nut, those are actually for this back hole right here. So for mounting the bracket, we're not going to go ahead and use those. We're actually going to use the self-drilling screws. So I'm just going to take those and set those aside. And then these bolts and washers are actually for mounting the light. You can see right here on the side of the light, there's a couple holes right here. Those are for mounting the light into the bracket itself. So I've already mounted one in my truck. You can see it right there, and I've tied it into the wiring in the canopy. And I'm going to go ahead and pass the camera off to Jennifer, and she's going to record me installing the second one right over here on the canopy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mount the bracket up here on the roof of the canopy. Now I'm only using a 3/4 inch self-drilling screw right here, as I mentioned a minute ago, and I've already looked and that will not poke through the top of my canopy. So depending on whatever canopy you have, you'll want to make sure that you use the appropriate size screw. You'll feel that just tighten up a little bit. I'm going to turn it to the way that I want, as there's different positions here, and I'm going to match it to this side over here as I've done, which is the long side from the bracket facing towards the back of the truck. Just tighten that up a little bit. And grab my light here. I actually don't know what size this is because it seems to be metric. I don't have any metric nut drivers, so that's why I'm going to use a crescent wrench to just get them a little bit snug in there, and then I'll go back and tighten those up at a later time. So this one side right by the wire is a little hard to get those two in, but once you get it started, it'll work pretty well for you. A total of 4 of these going in, 2 on each side. I'm not tightening those up all the way just yet, as I still have one more on each side to install. I'm going to do this other side that I can see a little easier first. Nice thing is, once you get one in the back, it actually stays in position. One in the front, one in the back, it'll stay in position for you. This side doesn't seem to want to cooperate. I'm having to do it with a crescent wrench.
There's always one side that doesn't want to cooperate, right?
As is true for most things in life. Alright. So as I said, I'll just tighten those up at a later time. I want to be able to wait until it's dark out to actually be able to position them as well. So I'm taking the wires here. We had basically just insulation over the end of the wires to protect the ends, and I'm twisting the wires together because they're stranded wire, which means that there's multiple wires there, and so I'm twisting them together, which essentially creates one wire. Makes it a better connection for when you're tying it in. Okay, now I found this wire here in my Canopy, and this wire actually goes up to this LED light strip right here. I'm going to turn that on so you can see it. This LED light strip right here was installed at the factory by ARE. This is an ARE Canopy. So I'm going to split this wire, and then I'm going to use some wire nuts to tie these new wires from the light in there. So I'm using my utility knife, and I know you can't see this, but I'm going right between the red wire and the black wire.
Between by, what do you mean by that?
So those two wires, there's a little groove right down the center here. So I'm using that groove as my guide to split those two wires with my utility knife.
Okay.
I'm going to use my wire strippers and my wire cutters to cut these wires, and I know everybody's probably getting a little nervous if you've never done something like this, but this is very normal. So then I figured out on these wire strippers, as on all wire strippers, it's labeled with each size of wire. So I figured out that this is a number 16 wire. I'd figured that out on the other one that I already installed. So you lay this wire in the number 16 slot, and you pull. You squeeze it down and pull, and it strips the end of the wire off. It strips insulation off. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. And then I don't have enough stripped on this one. I want to strip probably about 3/8 of an inch or so. I'll strip a little bit more. The same thing. These are your stranded wires, so you want to twist those together. Now this is the wire coming from the switch.
From the switch that turns the LED lights on?
Correct, the switch that turns LED lights on. This is the wire that's going up to the LED light strip in the top of the canopy, as I said that I had the factory installed. So I'm going to go ahead and strip the end of this wire as well. You're going to end up with 3 sets of wires, a total of 6 wires that you'll need to have stripped, the ends twisted together, and then you very simply match up colors. The red wires get twisted together with the red wires. I'll take this red wire over here, and I'm going to twist it into this group. Get the black wires out of my way. So now you have 3 red wires twisted into one group. One of those wires is coming from the new LED light. One is coming from the LED light strip on the roof or the ceiling of my canopy, and the other one is coming from the switch that's installed on the inside of my canopy here to turn the lights on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these wire connectors, and these wire connectors that I'm using, they're a small size wire connector. They're called a WT2 blue. They're for 300 volts maximum. Minimum gauge wire is 3 number 20s. Maximum is 3 number 16s. So as I said, we're using 16 gauge here. Wires is what we're working with. So I'll need a total of 2 of these.
One for red, one for black?
One for the set of red and one for the set of black.
Okay.
And then you want to put those wires, put all the red wires into the wire connector and then twist it. You're basically screwing those red wires together.
Kind of like putting a cap on?
More or less like putting a cap on, yes. And then you want to do the same thing with all the blacks. The thing that can happen when you split these wires here is you can expose some of the wire that you don't want to, because you're essentially cutting through the insulation. So I see a small spot here. I'll take some electrical tape that I have, and I will put some electrical tape around there. I want to get these kind of split apart here a little bit. So we have all of our wires tied together there, and we're going to turn on our lights to see if it works. And as they say, here goes something or nothing.
Ta-da!
And there we go.
We have light.
We have light on each side. I have one light overhead here, and then I have an LED light strip on each side. Seems like a lot of light, but for hooking up the trailer at night or working off the back of the truck, these LED lights pointing out the back of the truck are going to be absolutely awesome.
So how will do you need to do anything there?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these wires and I'm going to put them back up into this little channel above the canopy door, the canopy window here. And then
oh, okay, they nicely tuck away.
They nicely tuck up there. And then there's some clips on this canopy. Again, this is an ARE canopy. There are some clips that go up here. And that one's sitting right over here. And these clips hold the wires in place so they don't bounce out when you're driving down the road.
Nice.
Thanks a lot for joining me for this DIY video on how to install LED lights in your canopy.
Hi, my name is Connor, and you should check out thetravelinglarsons.com. Bye!